Hey everybody, Bradley Trout here once again, and today, as part of my third video game review, I'm going to be reviewing Alone in the Dark for the PS2. Now, Alone in the Dark, you play as a guy named Edward Carnby, who is a paranormal investigator who has lost his memories, and you're trying to get them back while also fighting off monsters and demons that are attacking you. Now, this game takes place in Central Park inside New York, and the PS2 version, it's not a complete copy of the game. Once you get all the way through what there is for the PS2 version, it just stops. But if you play the PlayStation 3 or the 360 version, you find out that there's actually more to the story. Now, the weird thing is, it was made by two different uh, developers. I do believe the PS2 developer was Hydravision, I do believe. But regardless, it's an incomplete game. Now, that's not to say it's not a bad game, but in my copy, none of the monsters attacked me. Not even the bosses. Most of the time, they just stood around while I bashed their heads in. Now, it's got a lot of puzzles in it, and they're good puzzles. They make you really think. But half the time, I had to go online just because I didn't know what I was doing or where exactly I was supposed to go. For example, part of the game takes place in a car lot, and they don't exactly tell you that you're supposed to go look for a car so you can get yourself and two other people out. I had to go online because I didn't know where I was going, because the layout of the maps are really confusing. There's a variety of weapons you can use, most being melee weapons, which you can just pick up and everything, and you get your handgun and all that. And you don't even need your handgun really, because like I said earlier, the monsters in my copy, they didn't fight back except for a couple of them, and I just mainly bashed their heads in. Now, it's about a 7 to 8 hour game, depending on if you get lost or not. If you get lost, it'll be around 8 hours. If you're really good at that kind of thing, and if you've played it before, you can probably finish it in about 4 or 5 if you don't watch the cutscenes. And also, there's different parts to like how the game is played out. Like a good chunk of it, you're walking around and you're going to your places and everything, fighting your enemies. But there's also these driving scenes, which are really confusing because most of the areas were really dark. Half the time, when I was driving, somebody else, the computer AI, would run into my car and I would die because of a tremor that was attacking me. The tremors are a form of enemies. And also, there's a boss fight with a giant bat kind of monster, which is really hard because it attacks you while you're in an ambulance. And most of the time, you got unlimited handgun ammo in that scene, but most of the time it killed me because it does a certain move where it attacks you and you got no way of defending yourself against it. And it does it quite often. All in all, though, I'd say it's got a decent storyline. I really wish they put the entire game on the PS2. If anything, they could have done 2 discs if they wanted to. It wouldn't have been the first time, because other games have done 2 discs, namely Xenosaga Episode 2 and 3, um, Star Ocean, Zone of the Enders, yada yada yada. And it just would have been a lot better if I had known exactly what was going on, because the end of this game just has a huge cliffhanger. But if you've got a chance to play the PS3 or the 360 version, I recommend that. If not, just go on YouTube if you don't feel like playing the PS2 version because it's not the whole thing, and just look up the ending and get the PS2 version, play all the way to the end, and just go on YouTube and look up what happens after that. I mean, I wouldn't waste the money on it. If anything, just rent it or borrow it from a friend. Don't buy it. It's really not worth your money. Get the PS3 or the 360 version.